7.3, this is one I knew I needed. I don't think I put this video up at all because it doesn't say what I want to say now. Here's part of the deal. There are different techniques to doing stuff. Generally speaking, you learn and teach the first thing you were taught. People almost always prefer the first thing they've learned because, I mean, think about it. The way you learned it is the thing that you've done the most often. It doesn't matter if it's the easiest way or the shortest way. In your brain, it is the most familiar way. Whatever I've learned, even if it's the long and tedious way, is what I will default to because it has the most practice. I always talk about your brain is kind of like this great big forest, and you can decide where you're going to go and how much of it you're going to cultivate and how much of it you're going to leave wild or whatever. But if you're going to learn something, you make a little path to that destination. The path that you walk on the most is the one that's the easiest to do. It doesn't matter if it goes what you've discovered is the long way. It is the most worn path. It is the most cultivated. It's the clearest. It's the easiest. This other one might be shorter, but you might have to climb up the rock that you're not used to. And I know that's a weird scenario, but everybody has their own thing. So the path that you know the best is the one that people prefer. Now, if it's the long way and it works for you, who cares? Do it. Do what works for you. That way you don't have to take the class again, especially if this is not your thing. Get through the class, learn the skills, and go on to something you do like. The skills will be there for you. They may not be as good as you want them to be. They might be a little rusty, but the skills will be there when you need them. And if you don't ever need them, they'll just be locked in a trunk somewhere. So, a lot of the ones on here do not match what you would find in the back of the book because I do not think the way the person who wrote the book thinks. They were taught under the method that you pick one side and mess with it and leave the other side alone. And you try to mess with that side until they both match. I was taught to try to work both sides down to an identity. Now, here's the reason for those two options. If you pick one side and only mess with it, it prevents the simple mistake of dividing by 0. Because if you divide something by the sign x, there are some points where the sign is 0. Technically, you divided by 0. And it makes a really cool proof where you could show that 1 is equal to 2. I have done this a lot. I watch for that. I try not to divide by anything. I won't divide by sign. I'll multiply by secant. And that's a real tweaky technical thing, but that is part of the reason that it's taught one way or the other. If you only mess with one side, they're pretty sure you're never going to divide by 0. So it eliminates that mistake. I wasn't taught that way, so I don't do it that way. I've also done this a lot more, so it doesn't bother me to watch for that. No, these are not the ones I redid. I think the biggest issue with this one is that in some cases, my answers don't look the same. Like I'm pretty sure 5 won't look the same because I work down to 0 equals 0. I nearly always work down to either 0 equals 0, 1 equals 1, or some basic identity like sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. They don't do that. They will work until you have one side that stayed the same the whole time and is now equal to the other side. That doesn't make them wrong, just different. There's one, it's a kind of a funny thing I wanted to talk about. Number 17, real quick. I did 17 on the board normally in class, and if you happen to find the old video, I'll talk about how great it is and how much I like it, and then this is nerd alert, which is true. The way I do 17 is to expand all that out, combine like terms, and knock it back down. When I was checking my stuff in the back of the book to see how many matched, they did 17 a completely different way, and it's very short. So this is a difference in methods and opinions. My way of doing 17 is long. I like it. It's tedious. It's very careful. Takes up a lot of space. I skipped it on this. I love to do it in class because we talk about all the little things you got to watch for. I think they did it in like 5 lines. I would never have thought of doing it that way because, like I said, I don't think the way they do. That doesn't make my way wrong. It just makes it different. Whatever I did suits me. Whatever they did suits them, or suits the fact that they wanted a short one for printing. That's fine. But it was kind of funny that I specifically make a note about how long and tedious this problem is, and when I looked at theirs in the back of the book, it's like 5 lines. But that's okay. I did 21 and decided to stop. I think I had 30. Yeah, I had 30 on the assignment. If you want to do some more to fiddle with them, that's up to you. But I like this. And this is the next big falling away for math people. You see the first one in factoring and algebra. You'll have people that are chugging along and thinking this might be okay, and then we do factoring, and they're like, well, this is not for me. I am done with this. And then you chug along, and then you get to proofs and geometry, and you'll have another bunch of people who are like, this sucks. They quit. This is the next one. If you've gotten to this far, you're really a pretty good math student. And if you want to go on, it's not all this part. But when we hit this solving identities and messing with them, that's the next big time where I have people who are determined to be engineers and math majors who start to say stuff like, yeah, this is not me. But I like it. Of course, I'm a math major.